What kind of role has the church community played in your life since you started attending here?
Everything. Like, if you're not in community, then you're losing. Because,
Yeah.
like, to be with people who have the similar beliefs and mindsets, and just to be around people who will wrap their arms around you,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's everything. Because the people that I'm connected to now are amazing, like Kurt and Christy,
Mm-hmm.
being in the family, having friends in the church. It just, that's my circle of people.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say people, it's really family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you ever host a life group or a class?
Like, what kind?
Just anything here.
I mean,
Or
I
have you?
I have kind of, not like officially, but yes, like I got together with a group of people and we did like board game nights, or um, I've spoken at a couple life groups, like Megan Koval's high school girls life group I spoke at like last year.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Would you ever give like a sermon?
Oh, absolutely. Kurt, give me the mic. Let's go.
Oh, you would?
I would totally.
Oh my gosh, I could never do
I've
that.
already shared my testimony on stage with Kurt, so I was a little more nervous for that because that was like my first time. But like now, I at youth group, Dallas made me go and share my testimony there too. So
Oh, really?
I may need a little help checking my sources of like Bible theology, because
Yeah.
I'm not. That's why I married my husband. He went to Bible school. He can help me out a little when I'm like, does this work here? Like,
Yeah.
can you tell me the what's going on in this timeline of this verse when
Mm-hmm.
Paul talks about this? So I could use a little help on that. But everything else, I got that. I can do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there any prayers that have been answered recently that you were kind of waiting for him to
Yeah,
come through on?
absolutely, absolutely. The Lord is always answering prayer. Sometimes not in the timeline that I want it to be,
Never
but
is.
being on the other side, seeing how it all worked out in the best way, and that if he would have answered my prayer back then, it would have been so small compared to what he wanted to do with it. So,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
What do you think is your most impactful spiritual discipline?
Hmm. I think it's just being intentional, setting aside time,
Yeah.
because once you start to get out of that, then like the enemy knows, for one,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to go after that and use that against you. So it's just being intentional, stay in the word, stay in prayer, and surround yourself with people who do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever have any like days or few days or where you're like not doing those things? Or are you very
Oh yeah,
consistent?
it's easy to do that. It's easy to be like, oh, I got so much to do today, da da da, and then like you go to put your head on the pillow and you're like, oh wait, I'm gonna lose my Bible app streak, like
Yeah.
So it's just, we're human, and it happens, but it's just about, I think it's about the matter of your heart. Where's your heart at?
Mm-hmm.
And how is your relationship with the Lord? Is it rooted? Is it deep? You don't want a surface level sort of relationship with the Lord. Like, you have to be, it's all in. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, there are times where my prayers are shorter, longer than others, certain days. But,
How do you feel on days that you don't pray or read?
well, sometimes seeing how the day went, I'm like, probably if I started my day off the right way, it would have went a little differently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I always like setting up my day, which is why I do it in the morning. Helps me feel a lot more just ready, prepared, and relaxed for the day. And the days that I don't, it's like a tornado. I'm like, oh,
Yeah. What kind of impact do you think marriage has had on your relationship with God? Has it changed anything since when you first started following?
oh, it has completely. It has, again, redeemed and helped me to relearn a lot of things as a kid, and learning what unconditional love is like, and having a man who is 100% in, who loves me for me no matter what. And he, without even probably knowing, in some ways has healed a lot of the inner child in me through everything we've walked through, and just the things he says or the actions of like all of it, and seeing who he is and how he interacts with like other people too. Like he works for the House of Providence, and I see how he interacts with the Hop girls, and seeing that like is healing for me too. And in the future, I'm sure when we have kids and I get to see him be a dad and I get to be a mother, I can already tell that that is totally gonna change the way I see things and heal things in me and my inner child too.
Mm-hmm.
So, absolutely.
What do you think makes a good wife?
Um, res- there has to be a level of respect for one. For two, um, really like letting your husband lead. Like I know that sometimes that's like cliche to say, but no, like he is the spiritual leader of our family,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to trust him in that. And really praying for your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Like you and your spouse are in everything together. Like you are a team. You are team, and like I like to say, we're team Demoff.
Yeah.
Luckily, we had really great marriage counselors, Pastor Sean and Lisa. Shout out to you, who really just gave us the tools, um, and are still, teaching us how to be great spouses. And it's just praying for each other, being there for each other, being respectful. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot more things too, but
How about husband?
being
What do you think a woman should look for in a husband?
my youth pastor years and years and years ago made me come up with a list.
What's the list?
She's just like a list of things like you don't want to what's the word I'm looking for? Like non-negotiables,
Yeah.
basically,
Mm-hmm.
of a man. And she had to approve the list. And actually when I got together with Steven and then he proposed, she was actually one of the first people I called. I'm like, and she's like, we had so many Facebook people in common. Like I knew he was good for you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's just about number one, knowing the Lord and having a relationship with the Lord was a non-negotiable for me. I'm like, you
Yeah.
have to love the Lord, and that's something Steven and I did from the get-go,
Mm-hmm.
because previously I dated people who were not Christ followers, and
Yeah.
I knew after 2020 going through what I went through, being like, nope, this is what I am standing in. I'm going to start off on this foot, and if they don't like it, then like I'm tired of wasting my time. I'm going to start off with this.
Mm-hmm.
That way 3 months later they learn that about me and then they're out. Like, no.
Yeah.
So Steven, when I first started talking with him, I'm like, I love the Lord. This is my life. This is what I've been through, hoping that would kind of maybe scare him away.
Yeah.
And it didn't. So,
He's still
yeah.
here. Do you think it's possible for a woman of God or a man of God to come together and start dating somebody who doesn't follow?
It's possible. I mean,
And do you what would you say again, like to
I,
somebody thinking about like dating somebody that's not?
I mean, if you're not, it's hard to say because I've been there too, where I've dated people who weren't. Seeing how I did date someone who has and how that worked out so well for me. I mean, I'm not one to judge, and I think the Lord can use anything, and but I wouldn't make it your goal to win that person over or be their savior again,
Mm-hmm.
because you're putting yourself in front of God.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't go out and seek someone, tell them to go out and seek someone who isn't a Christ follower. Now, if they're in a relationship with someone who isn't, I would just, you know, caution them. And, you know, I'm not saying it will never work out. It could, and it has. I've seen it. And so it's just about knowing where they're at and where their hearts are at,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that, again, they know it's not their mission to like save this person, because then you're basing your whole relationship off of that and not on the Lord. So
Yeah. Yeah. I dealt with that a lot. Just being fully like transparent is like one of my things that I found my self-worth in and happiness in was other people.
mm-hmm.
And I feel like I was always like I feel like people that well, obviously I was broken, and I feel like I would always attract broken,
Mhm.
and I would always feel the need to like fix them and like help them, and people that needed help just seemed to like gravitate towards me. And I feel like I would always put my happiness in other people, especially people that I was dating. And then I'd always say like, oh, like I'm only happy when I'm in a relationship. Once I started following God, it was weird because there was somebody that I talked to that didn't need fixing, and I was like,
Mhm.
well, what am I here for? Like I didn't know what my role was anymore, and I
Yeah.
felt very lost because that person was perfectly okay. And I was like, I just didn't know how to handle it because I was so used to just being like that source of like that savior for people, and
Yep.
it's not really my job. I guess it's not
Mhm.
my, like you said, it's not my job to save people, but
You can play a part in it, but it's
yeah,
not solely based off of you. And you need to fill your cup up before you can then go ahead and help other people. So,
yeah. And
yeah.
that's kind of how it was. I feel like I was just emptying myself to make others happy, and lifting them up while I bring myself down. And it was kind of like an uneven, like it wasn't like reciprocated.
Mhm.
um I just poured out like my heart to just all of these people, and just I didn't get enough, like as much in return, so it,
Mhm.
it kind of always left me feeling like empty because
Yeah.
nothing was filling me, um, until I met him,
Absolutely. Yeah.
obviously. Going back to the relationship, did anything change from when you were just dating to now married?
I feel like dating was easier than marriage
Yeah.
because you can still be selfish.
Yeah.
You can still kind of live your own life and do what you want, and then oh, I'm gonna go visit him for a couple of hours, but then I'm gonna go home to my own place and do whatever I want,
Hmm.
everything like that. And so it is different when you get married because you no longer are allowed to be selfish.
Yeah.
It's no longer about you. It's
Hmm.
about you two together. So it is completely different. And I would say marriage is harder than dating, but the reward is so much greater.
Hmm.
So if you get to that point.
Yeah. Do you guys like, do you feel alone time is important?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Like that's one thing that I struggled with for a little bit was I moved away here and had no friends, no anything. And this is where Steven's always grown up. So he has a lot of friends. He has, and it was something I had to learn that like Steven can't be my everything. I can't force him to entertain me,
Yeah.
to be one of my girlfriends, like and so eventually, I mean, it was my prayer for the longest time to find good friends, and I have. And so, um, yes, alone time and time with friends away from each other is important. Like you have to make that a priority because you can't re- rely on your spouse to give that to you because they can't. So
Mhm. Yeah, and how do you guys like have do you guys spend time together like literally every single day, or is there days where you're kind of like super busy from work and doing other things, that you have to like schedule out like intentional time together, like date nights and things like that?
you always have to be intentional. So a lot of times, your conversations can be very um, I don't remember the word. We learned it in marriage counseling, but just like very like back and forth. Oh, did you do this? Is this done? Has the dog been fed? Da la la la. But then you have to be intentional about having those deeper conversations of like, how was your day?
Mm-hmm.
What is the Lord teaching you right now? Um, and so it's a lot of conversations can be mono line, but then you have to be intentional about going deeper. We always like to be intentional about like having a date night like once every other week.
Yeah.
And
What do those look like?
Those can be just getting popcorn and watching a movie at home.
Mm-hmm.
It could be going up north. Like we did that a couple weeks ago. We went up north, got to see the cabin, and took the dog and walked around the trails and things like that. Um, Really, it's just quality time away from your phones, away from distractions, and really just checking in with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is it going? Like, is there anything that I did this week that made you feel a certain way? Or I really liked when you did this. Like, just kind of checking in with each other and communicating. And yeah,
How do you approach difficult conversations?
I've learned. Conflict was definitely not my thing. I used to like run away from it, or I would like completely shut down. But I have learned through the years how to use my words. That was the biggest thing, learning how to use my words and speak, which sounds crazy now because you hear how I'm talking and how I'm like an open book. I used to never talk. Like there was actually a whole year in high school, I didn't say a word.
Mm.
And I think that was the enemy knew that, and he knew that my words were powerful, and so he would fight to take those away.
Yeah.
And so I had to fight to take those back and to be able to speak. Um, and again, that's just one of those things that I had to learn. And so just taking a breath and using your words and communicating, allowing space for the other person to speak their words too, um, is big.
Mm-hmm. How do you like not take offense?
I mean, you do take offense sometimes, but it's about how you come back together
Yeah.
and how you work through that and settle that. So
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's okay to go to bed angry?
I don't
Or do you think it should be like people always say that like don't go to bed angry?
know if I'm
Like
angry
do you think anything that you're dealing with should be resolved before?
before bed. I
Yes.
mean, in reality, there are things that aren't going to be solved in one night,
Mm-hmm.
but it's about your heart. Like, what's the intention in your heart? We could have an argument or whatever, and in my heart, I still love him. In my heart, I still,
Yeah.
you know, we may go to bed and the problem's not solved, but at the end of the day, we go to bed and we know that we love each other and we have each other's best interests at heart. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's about what's in here more than trying to like use your words and fix something
Yeah.
overnight.
Like the it's you guys against the problem kind
Yeah,
of thing. It's
absolutely.
not you guys against each other.
We're not against each other. No,
Yeah.
us against the problem. That's a good way of phrasing it.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. What kind of advice would you give to somebody trying to seek deeper relationship with God?
Again, surround yourself with people who are spiritual warfare kind of people, like have a good example, have someone you can go to if you have questions, if you like, what does the Lord mean when he says this? Or like, I read this, like, can you help me with that? So having someone that you can go to, and then just be intentional. Like, he's there. He's already there. Like, you don't have to run after him. You don't have to like search and search and search. Like, he is there waiting. Like,
Mm-hmm.
all you have to do is call upon his name. He is there. He is always there. And so just to again read in the words obviously the biggest thing, prayer, and just having that consistency.
Yeah. Do you have any friends that aren't believers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you kind of balance your time? Like, do you like hang out with them? Like, maybe if it's like not in like a work setting or something like that.
I would say the friends that I have that aren't believers are more like people that I knew from my past life who maybe I'm not as connected to. I guess it is hard for me, like not hard for me, but I go to church obviously, and I'm in Stephen's family,
Mm.
who's all believers. My best friend who I grew up with, she's a believer. Um, my friends now that I hang out with are from here, from the church, and so when I go to work too, I know my boss is a believer. So it is harder for me to meet people who aren't believers.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
So, is there anyone you hang out with that isn't?
so.
Not
And
really.
not that that's intentional. It's just
Yeah, just how it happened.
just how it happened. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you, I guess, what would you say to somebody who still like kind of has like a mix of both?
I would say guard your heart.
Yeah.
Um, Stay firm in your boundaries and your beliefs, and um, if it's more than okay to have those friends and to hang out with them. Now if they are engaging in things that is not right, then turn away from that. Doesn't mean you can't be friends with them. It's just about, okay, I'll go hang out with you, but if this happens, then just know I'm going to have to take a step back and remove myself from that. um, yeah, just having those boundaries and guarding your heart is going to be the biggest thing, because you can be a light to them.
Mm-hmm. How do you, how would you navigate like I'm in this situation where, like I said earlier, it's just me and my mom that come here. Like my dad's not a believer. It's pretty much just me and my mom and my family. How do you kind of navigate with that? Like when the families kind of has different sets of values and beliefs and things like that. Because I know for me, it's kind of hard to kind of be surrounded with people that aren't
Mm-hmm.
all the time, but I still want to like hang out with my family.
Right.
Um, how would you navigate that?
I mean, they're your family. It's just about
Yeah.
having grace for them.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they're living in their own world, and it's just be who you are, and through your words and through your actions, the Lord can speak through that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes just being around someone who has a certain sort of presence is like, if you have the Lord in you and you're shining Him out, people will see that.
Yeah.
And that may work better to start getting through their hearts than any words you could say to them ever will.
Yeah.
So it's a tough thing. I don't have all the right answers, but yeah,
Yeah.
it can be a touchy thing because some people are like, nope, you bring the Lord into the conversation, I'm out. Like
Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on like is it okay to just like even more than just distance, just like be like okay, just
Like the boundary I have with my biological family. It's a boundary that has been fluid. I've had to move it a couple of times. And the reason, like maybe why I don't talk with certain siblings or things like that, is just because you have to be aware of where you're at and where your spiritual health is at, where your mental health is at, and all of that. Like if knowing or having them in your life, like one of my siblings, I know they always are a pot stirrer. They're always going to bring up things from the past. Them saying anything, reaching out, any sort of contact with them is not going to be good.
mm-hmm.
It's just going to be,
Yeah.
the same old, same old. And again, I learned I can't be their savior. I've learned that. I've tried that. Um, and just every time that they would be in my life, then I had to just make that decision for myself and for my journey. It was just, nope. Like maybe at some point that can change in the future, but it depends on it. Like it was that person or that situation was very toxic, very bad for where I want to be and who I want to be moving forward. So every person and every situation and relationship is going to be different, and that's something that you're going to have to again be in tune with the Lord about and your own intuitiveness about. And again, it can be fluid, it can change. Maybe for a season you have to distance yourself from that person, but then maybe in the future that could change and you can slowly open that door to let them back in.
Yeah. Yeah. It can definitely be hard because you're part of you is like, oh, they're just gonna say this again. They're just gonna
Mm-hmm.
do this again. Like this is just gonna happen again. Like I guess you're right, and I agree with you that circumstances can vary and it can be different with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a hard thing to navigate, especially because they're your family and you want to see all of them up in heaven with you.
It's about having discernment.
That goes back to I feel like not giving up on someone. Like it doesn't mean that you have to just continue to allow them to just like hurt you over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it like just have healthy boundaries and
Yeah, and that's where you just there's some things that only the Lord can do, and some battles that only He can fight and win. And so it is hard because I've been there, I've watched it. I'm, still walking through that with some people in my life. It's just, again, about trusting the Lord and truly, like what Amy did. Amy gave it to the Lord, where she was like, I could try to do my own thing with this, but I know that whatever outcome I do or anything that I do is not going to compare to what the Lord is going to do with this. And
mm-hmm.
so it kind of lifted the burden off her, and it's the burden that the Lord can carry
Yeah.
and should carry, and that you don't have to. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just about, yes, you're still praying, and you're still hoping and praying for that person and what they're doing in their life's decision, but ultimately that's the Lord's, and He can change it. He's the only one who can.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to let go. It's hard to give that to Him and to trust Him with that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's something you may take and give back and take and give back, but it's just that daily surrender.
Yeah. And it can be very heartbreaking to just see that. Um, just some stuff that I'm going through right
Yeah.
now. um, is there anything else that we haven't touched on yet that you'd like to share and that you really want people to hear and to get out there?
I would just say,
It can be another part of your story or just anything that you want to share.
yeah, I mean, I would just sum it up saying that, like, your life doesn't end just because of one bad chapter. You have a whole story and a whole life to live. And again, that the Lord just loves you, and you will get through whatever you're going through. Um, he can use anything, He can redeem anything, and that you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Where do you feel like he's leading you right now?
Yeah, I feel like right now,
Anything he's called you to pursue lately?
I mean, to finish writing my book for one.
Mm-hmm.
um, I think just learning how to just slow down, to be in the present, in the moment, and um, not get so focused on like praying for one thing for it to happen, but praying like, Lord, help me to be ready to receive this thing that you have for me. So instead of like we need a house, like we want to buy a house, instead of praying, Lord, bring me a house, Lord, bring me a house, it's like, Lord, help me to be able to receive the house you have for me.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of changing my prayers in that way, is
Yeah.
not, instead of just asking for the thing, asking for the Lord to change my heart on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Do you guys want to live here?
um Central, I mean, I work in Ortonville, and
Mm-hmm.
he works Oxford now, but probably Pontiac, so central location.
Yeah. Have you ever wanted to like be in another state or do you want to
Oh,
stay here forever?
absolutely. I wanted to be in another state. I hate the snow.
Yeah. Do
If
you
I could,
actually?
I hate the
You
snow.
strike me as like a fall winter kind of. I mean,
Fall
I
for
can see you
sure.
love fall, but like you strike me as like you love snowboarding, you love
No,
all of that stuff.
no. My husband snowboards. Have
Yeah.
I ever? No, I don't even own a pair of snow pants.
No,
I
me
refuse
neither.
to. I have a pair of snow boots only because I have to.
Yeah.
No, if I could live somewhere where it would never snow, I would be there. But
Mm,
that's not where I am right now.
yeah. Where would you want to go?
I don't know.
Could you leave like family and everything that you have here?
Christy would not like the answer to this, but yes, I could go anywhere. But that's just
We
who
won't
I am, and
we won't
that's,
tell her we recorded this.
yeah, and that's how I've always been. Like I'm just a doer and a goer, and I've I've been on my own since 17, and so
Hmm.
that's just how I've done things. And so I've always been away from family, but I'm also like, you could always just go and visit and see them. So
Yeah, right.
not that we'd ever move away. Don't get worried, but
They're gonna move
wherever
to
the Lord calls us, if it's warmer weather, it could be.
just maybe not Florida and have hurricanes every
Yeah,
other
they have hurricanes right now.
week. Yeah, those are getting bad. What do you think? Which of the fruits of the spirit do you think he's growing in you recently or working on?
Hmm. I mean, I feel like it's easy for everyone to say patience. We all need more patience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I feel like I'm always very empathetic, and so I always relate to people on a deep level. Um, I'm definitely not like a teacher. I don't feel like Pastor Sue is a teacher. Like her spiritual gift is teaching. That's
Mm-hmm.
like her thing. It's not really my thing. So I don't know if that's something maybe I could work on or just pray. I mean, people are given certain gifts.
Yeah.
Everyone has access to them all, whether they're good at teaching or not. But I'm like, maybe I could use a little more help in that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah. Patience is mine. I think he's always working on. That's like my hardest one to grow, and that's one of like the main ones that we need is to be patient. But going back to waiting, any prayers that you're waiting on right now,
I mean, yes, there are things I'm waiting on,
like
and
the
it's
house?
yeah, the
Yeah.
house and just future and just wanting to be there already, but not. And yeah, it is a journey. It is hard to deal with maybe some of the emotions or things that brings up, but that's again just trusting the Lord and His timing and the season of things and how they'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just about again how my prayers have been, instead of asking for the thing, it's asking the Lord, okay, help me be able to be ready to receive that for when it comes,
Yeah.
has been my biggest thing that I've been working on.
Yeah. That's good because I actually just recently watched a video while I was doom scrolling on TikTok.
Yes.
um, but it was good. Sometimes something pops out at you and you're like, "Oh, I'm glad I saw this," even though I'm wasting a lot of my time. But um, this girl was kind of talking about waiting and people saying, "Oh, like I'm in a waiting season," and they're always waiting for something. She was kind of talking about how like that is probably not the best way to look at that situation, like always looking for the next thing. And like
Mhm.
you're, oh, I'm waiting to get this job, and then I get this job, and then
What's the next thing?
I'm
Yep.
in my next waiting season. I'm waiting to get a house. Oh,
What
I'm
do
in a
you
waiting
do
season.
with your waiting?
I'm waiting to get married, like things like that. Like, and I like what you said is like how your prayers changed. Instead of waiting for that next thing, just like loving where you are right now
Mhm.
and just pursuing him and just being intentional about the now instead of looking to the future, instead of worrying about the future and waiting for things to come and just being in that present moment. And like I said, finding joy and love and comfort in where you are
Mhm.
right now.
Right. It's about how you choose to wait. He
Yeah,
doesn't just
exactly.
say sit back and I'll just bring it to you when it's down out of the oven. Like
Yeah.
no, it's not. How you choose to wait and what you do matters. And you have to be going after the things that, you know, like you have to work for the things that you want
Mm-hmm.
and where you want to be. It's not just going to be handed to you.
Yeah.
Um, and again, continuing to pray and just use that waiting time and be doing something, not just sitting back and waiting. Although there are times when the Lord says to wait, there are times where the Lord said to move, to be still,
Yeah.
to, but it's just about being in tune with that.
Mm-hmm. How do you like not try to take control of the situation and just jump into something?
I mean, learning,
Yeah.
obviously, learning from past, mistakes and things where it is easy to be like, nope, I want to be in control. I want to be the one doing it, I want to be the one driving. I want
Yeah.
to be, let me write that or let me push the shopping cart in the grocery store. Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's learning. It's hard. You have to just, oh, I lost my thought already.
You're good.
How to not take control. It's really just fighting against your flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess I have like three more questions if that's cool.
Yeah.
I have two like kind of fun ones. Since you love to write, what's your favorite book and what's like your favorite genre of books? Like, are you a big
Ooh.
reader?
I am, yes. Writers are readers.
Yeah.
I like to read about other people's stories. And
Hmm.
so I guess recently I got Beth Moore's new book.
Okay.
Um, I don't remember what it's called, but I think it has a car on the front of it.
Hmm.
Really, really good book going through just her life story. Was really awesome to read. So that was the one that's most fresh in my
Yeah.
mind. It was so good because I like learning from other people and their styles and how they write and how I like for my writing to be that way. So yeah.
Hmm. What did you do before insurance?
Before insurance, I worked at the church
Okay.
half the time. The other half of the time, I nannied for a family for Maggie. Um, in the summer, I was full time on with her, and then once school started back up, I was half time there, half time at the church. Before any of that, before I moved down here, I was a barista
Mm.
at a coffee shop, barista slash waitress. So, and I loved that. I would still be serving coffee to this day if I didn't move away.
Yeah, it's
I
so
love
funny
it.
because a lot of I feel like that's a lot of especially a lot of Christians that I ask like I feel like Christians love their coffee. It's
I
so
don't know.
hilarious. A lot of people that I ask, they're like, "Oh, I would love to like own a coffee shop. I would
I
love
That's
to."
my dream. I want a coffee cart or like a coffee truck, like
Okay.
something mobile that I can just take with me wherever I go and do
Hmm.
like events and do things like that.
Yeah.
One, it's half the cost of a building.
Yeah.
For two, I can do it on my own time.
Hmm.
So, yes, I will own one of those.
Yes, you will. That's awesome. That's awesome. What would it be called?
I don't know. I have like a note in my phone with like a couple of different options.
Hmm.
Um, Let me see. Common Grounds, I think, was one.
Oh, that's good.
Um, let's see. I'm gonna have to scroll back because it's like really old coffee shop names. Okay, here we go. Crafted Bean,
Hmm.
Common Grounds,
Hmm.
Daily Grind, Portside, Round Table, Roasted. That was a funny one.
That's a good one.
Um, uh, yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's awesome. It's
So
funny.
who knows? Who knows? It's just a list. We'll
Yeah.
just work. It's a working list.
It's funny you say that because I was talking to Joel the other day, and that's like his dream is he wants to own a coffee shop,
Oh, I want to so bad.
but like a mix with like kind of like how a Bendigo is, kind
Mhm.
of like have like music. I can't remember if he said he wants to sell music there too, or just have like live performers and just like entertainment. But I've actually never seen anyone live at a Bendigo. Maybe I just don't go at the right time.
Yeah, you probably just don't go at the right time because I've seen a couple people there.
Do they like play piano or
Oh yeah, they'll have a
sing and
piano. They'll
guitar?
have a chair with their guitar with the speaker, and they'll sing. Yeah.
Awesome. Was it kind of hard going into a marriage after you saw, or like going into dating or going into a marriage, like from what you've seen growing up at all?
No, I
No.
don't think so. So again, the Lord had healed a lot of that, and again, I think love triumphs over everything, and
Hmm.
so there was love there before there was ever anything else, and so it was easy to lean into love.
Hmm.
Not only like love like with Stephen, but love with the Lord, love for a relationship, love for family, love for all things. It just love triumphs over all. So
Yeah.
I don't think it was hard to lean in and trust that at all.
Hmm. Yeah. Awesome. What's your favorite coffee shop now around here?
Around here, well, the Bean is always easy to go to because it's close. I mean, I always like to go to new coffee shops. There's the Eras bookstore in Oxford that does coffee, and I haven't been there yet.
What is it
So
called?
the Eras bookstore.
Aaron's Bookstore.
They have coffee there, and it's a bookstore. So I want to go there and see how their coffee is.
I never tried it.
So that's next on my list.
Have you gone back to, I think it's called Wee Bean now.
Wee Bean, yes. I've been there, and it was Shaded Bloom before it
Yeah.
was then. Yep, they're good.
I really like the vibe there.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good.
I just like the, I don't know, like the atmosphere and like the records and things like that. It is cool. I'm not like a coffee aficionado. Like I don't like, just give me whatever the heck you
Oh.
have and I'll drink it as long as it wakes me up. But do you have like a favorite drink?
I mean, lattes are the best, obviously. I mean, it depends on what they have. If I see a hot latte that sounds good, I'll get it. But also, I like iced ones. And so I like to try everything. So, like, we went to Parlor Donut yesterday.
Oh,
Finally. I finally tried it.
oh,
They
that
did
was your
not,
first time there?
yeah, they did not have the pistachio donut that I wanted. So I had to settle for the maple bacon, which was good.
Really? Wait,
Yeah.
did they? Because they can make anything that they have on spot. Did they tell you that?
No, they're out, and I said, "Do you have any
No.
pistachio?" And they said no. So I had to get something else that was in a
Which one did
case.
you go to?
The one in
Lake Orion?
yeah.
Oh no.
They didn't have pistachio out.
Maybe they had like a new person. I don't know, but literally, if you go there,
I'm gonna go back. Obviously, I want
you
that
can
donut.
ask for any of them and they'll make them right there.
Well, I'm gonna go ask
It takes like 10 minutes, but
to get that one
yeah.
anyway. But I tried their Mayan mocha, which is their chocolate like cayenne. Of that, that was good.
Yeah, I think I had coffee there the first time the other day. I got like brown sugar or maple brown sugar or something like that.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that on there.
It was good, but I think my top three favorite flavors there are literally all the fall ones. So if you go back, definitely try the fall flavor of donuts. But yeah, I think that about wraps up my questions. Do you have anything more that you want to share before we end?
I don't think so. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to? I think you probably know from watching. Would you be comfortable praying us out?
Yeah.
And praying for the people?
Okay. Jesus, thank you for this time together to share stories and to talk about you. I pray for all the listeners out there that they will take something away from today's conversation, Lord, and above all, that this just glorifies you. And I pray that everyone out there finds someone to look to and also find someone to look back and mentor and help. And yeah, we love you and we thank you in your name. Amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you for that. Yeah. And I thank you for joining me on here and being open and vulnerable and comfortable with sharing your story and just wanting to help. And I'm sure that people listening, I know it set me on fire. I'm sure it'll set a lot of people on fire and transform lives. And I think a lot of my goal with this is just to have like kind of like a domino effect. Absolutely. And have like just people share, and those that are listening and maybe dealing with the same things, give them hope and something to believe in, and hopefully they'll, if they're not a follower, come to God. And I think that our testimonies are pretty much one of the most powerful things Absolutely. To share, just because it can resonate with so many different people, and it gives glory to God and shows what He can do to not only transform a life, but He literally gives us a new one. Absolutely. So I thank you for joining me here, and you have a beautiful testimony, beautiful story, and I appreciate you, and I can't wait for your book. Yeah. And for it's going to spread. And yeah, I
Maybe I'll
appreciate
work
you.
on it today. We'll see.
You should. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. We will continue to pray for you, and we love you.